This is the Date Night Dice Podcast, a podcast mostly about board games.
Probably not.
Hello and welcome to episode number 43 of the Date Night Dice Podcast. Yes, that's right, your favorite podcast crew is back in action. Well, almost. Tonight we are riding solo. Ken is not here, unfortunately. But I'm Ben.
I'm Em.
And yes, sadly, Ken is spending time with his brother and new sister-in-law.
Ugh.
Yeah, what a loser.
What a loser.
They should have just had Rob on the show. Well,
Yeah.
next time we can have Rob on the show. Oh, it feels so good to be almost back to normal, back to life. You know, what has been the continuing story of the podcast over the past, 3 months? Work. Well,
Ben.
anybody who's watching this on the video, I actually have blue light blocking glasses on because my eyes are so tired that the fluorescent lights we have down here in our basement where we record were bothering my eyes.
Oh, poor baby.
But this last week was a normal week.
Yeah,
and
for the most part.
I feel like $1,000,000.
He's a new
I
guy.
feel so good. Oh, man. Today, I didn't work once. I checked my email.
Really?
That was about it. Yeah.
Whoa.
I
Yeah,
know.
You're practically Benjamin Buttoning
Right.
back in time.
Yes,
You're getting
Look at
younger
you.
as the day passes.
Isn't that good?
Oh, my God. Yeah, so, yeah, you're kind of back to normal.
We did, especially back to normal, because we did the Saturday workout. Now, the normal crew is falling apart a little bit. The Gage and Evan, they will be leaving town soon. It sounds like so.
That sounds like they're getting chased out of town by cops. They're moving.
They're moving.
They're not.
So Emily and I have tentatively started the knee protection plan because we're getting older and our knees are starting to hurt. We're rather active and sore knees are a problem.
Like, pretty much, I
You
just
broke
need
your
some
knee.
strength. Yeah. And Potato hit it last weekend again. She ran into my leg again. Not in the same way, but she smashed into my leg, and it was that same knee. And she, flipped backwards and did it again. And, boy, I felt it. And the next day, I was so sore. I was starting to, limp around again. She aims for that one. But
So
I got to strengthen it up so that when she, head smashes it again, we're good to go.
well, and I think this is a good place to start. You can't just dive headfirst into strength training. It's a good way to want to never do it again because you'll end up so sore, so uncomfortable, whatever. So we were taking some tips from the Knees Over Toes guy. That's a YouTube channel about knee health and knee protection, and we're doing some of those exercises. So we did them today. They're very quad focused. My legs were tired from a long run yesterday, and my quads were burning.
Yeah. It hurts to go down the stairs.
Right, already?
So,
That was today.
yeah. When's the last time I worked out, let alone...
Never.
Well, let alone, 3 months of literally not walking at all. And so my legs are very weak.
I definitely in a relationship, everybody should have their own hobbies and their own things, and then you should have the things that you do together. But the fact that you worked out with me makes me very happy. That's cool. It's like my biggest hobby, and we did it together. That's awesome.
Well, I was the first and the last. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm sure Ben will murder me the next time, though.
No. I'm older and wiser.
Oh.
Maybe I would have done that in the past. I did that to Evan. He collapsed and face planted in the cement
He
when
died.
he passed out.
That's why he's leaving town. He died.
Yeah, actually, he's still recovering from that.
Yeah, exactly.
But speaking of hobbies, we are now closer and closer to Emily finally getting a new computer. She edits these videos on something that I is problematic.
I don't even want to mention it, as I said. It's embarrassing to mention.
Everything is wired up. You have all your new drives. All that we have to do is install Windows and transfer over your Lightroom files and your Premiere stuff, and you are good to go.
I have over 30,000 photos in Lightroom alone.
Oh, no.
That's why I don't want to do this. That doesn't include the videos or all the photos I haven't done or all It's like if someone said they'll give you a new house, but you got to move it yourself. And you're like, I don't know, maybe we should just stay here.
Right.
I think this is pretty comfy.
This is fine.
This works.
Well, I know we bought that new house, but I just don't want to move into it.
I don't want to have to move all this shit.
Right, exactly.
That's
I
what
understand.
it feels like.
I don't want to do it either.
Yeah, you're not. You're making. I have to. You don't have to. I actually wouldn't let you because if you've ever touched my stuff, something bad happens.
Always.
It's like
a curse.
Where'd that wedding go? Excuse me, sir? Like you can't.
I don't know. I just hit delete when a thing popped up.
I don't know where 10,000 photos went, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess they're just gone. Like that's what it's like. So I do need to do that though.
Well, have you had anything else exciting going on lately?
Exciting. Last weekend, we had our daughter's birthday party at the community center with her friends, and it was a swimming party. And so we had cake, we did the presents, and we were just about to go swimming, and somebody pooped in the pool. And so
somebody pooped in the pool.
And
was it a kid? Probably, but not confirmed.
If it wasn't a kid, I would blame a kid. Like I would never be like, "Oops, sorry." I'd be like, "Oh my gosh,
and
it's my baby." Like you would never raise your hand in that situation.
Right, that's true.
Right, you act like you would for a second. No,
I wouldn't do that.
Let's say something crazy happened. You would blame a kid.
What a mess that would be.
Oh God. Okay, too much. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we couldn't go swimming. Birthday party ruined. Kids crying. So today we made up the birthday party, went back. Nobody pooped in the pool. We're good to go.
As far as we know.
And so everything worked out. But that was kind of a double weekend whammy because it's a lot of work to get kids with swimsuits and extra clothes and towels and birthday stuff to a pool just for someone to be like, sorry, there's a party pooper.
Let me ask you this then. You were adamant that it would be better to have the party not at our house. Now, after having done the birthday party at the community
still didn't have
center,
to clean the whole house.
You think it was less work? It was better to go have it somewhere else?
Yeah, I still didn't have to clean the entire house.
All right, I was just checking in. Just checking in where we were at.
Just wanted to remind you for next year.
We're just checking. Yeah, I was just checking where we were at with that.
So we did that. I went shopping today with Natalie from the Gamecasters.
Whoa.
Yeah, worlds colliding, right? And we found out if you're above 22 and younger than 65, good luck. There's no clothes out there.
I would say 55.
Okay, what? Like that helps me. Well, no, it's in my age range.
I think it paints a better picture. You're either American Eagle or Land's End. There's nothing in the middle. At least not available in mid-Michigan.
No.
There must be.
I'm sure there's
I'm an adult stores somewhere.
I don't know. I went to some I'm an adult stores, and they had the same thing that I'm not an adult has.
Maybe you're just twisted in what you think an adult should wear. Maybe you're not hip with the times.
I don't think I need a crop top after having 3 kids.
Well, the stores say different.
Or it's either Little House on the Prairie or
That's
crop
weird.
top.
Why is Little House on the Prairie one of the options?
There's even some Little House on the Prairie crop tops.
That's weird, actually.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very weird. It was strange.
Maybe you're at an outlet mall. Maybe this is the stuff nobody bought.
I don't know. If any,
who would buy any of that?
It looked like nobody because we were. I don't know. It was a problem. It didn't make sense. We had, in the end, I guess I'm just wearing sweatpants for summer. I don't know what else there is. We didn't find much.
Sweatpants.
I did pick up a pair of the sweatpants that Ben hates. I picked up a second pair.
Oh, excellent, wonderful. I wish you would have kept those shorts that had they were fit weird.
The ones from Madewell.
Yeah, I just didn't see
Those
what the
were
problem
like
was. They looked comfortable.
I could put another human being in them with me.
Yeah, but they fit like, but they were like, that was like the style.
No, they were like if you did like what you would consider a mom jean, but like shorts, but to the extreme where when you sit down, you could be hiding like a couple kilos of cocaine in your shorts and no one would notice. Like there's like so much extra fabric and room bulking everywhere that like I could have snacks hidden for a movie.
I don't know. You're really struggling to find anything to wear.
It sounds like if you went to the store, you would have bought me all these horrible things.
I don't buy you anything because I don't have good taste.
I know, that's my point. Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I was struggling, but then guys just have regular clothes, so it's not fair. Guys get normal size t-shirts.
Well, they never change what guys wear. It's
That's
the same
what's
forever.
not fair.
Right. It's the black suit is formal. Otherwise, it's like
I would love to hear what you
button
actually
ups,
think.
There's t-shirts. There's khakis and jeans. That's all there is. There isn't anything else. You know, maybe some Jinkos.
Oh, no.
Like what I'm saying is like of things that are different, right?
I know, and that's what's not. The one time Natalie goes, "Oh, here's some tank tops." They were guys, and we were like, "Shit, damn it." So we didn't find much.
Dang,
but
just living off the dregs. Well, what happened to all your clothes that you used to have?
From when? I feel like
from the whole rest of your life. I feel like crop tops have only come into style recently, but you had to have been wearing clothes between
like really shitty old tank tops that are like either stained or too small or just not.
So your clothes have worn out, you're saying, and you're trying to get new clothes.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be nice next week, and I don't think I have one tank to wear.
Not one tank. Well, now we're in big trouble.
Yeah. Yes. This just in. Beep, beep, beep. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you know how angry I get when I'm hot?
I'm never hot, but yes, I do.
That is messed up.
I'm always cold. I'm cold every moment.
So imagine you always being cold in the summer. I'm that reverse. I'm that hot to cold ratio, you know?
I gotcha.
And I need something to wear.
Mm-hmm. It'd be like if I didn't have a winter coat.
Yes. There you go. If you went to the store and every winter coat you went to find was a crop top,
I'd be like, no.
You'd be like, can I just get a winter coat?
Or they're like fall weight instead of winter weight.
Yeah, you need the winter ones. And they go, well, we have this. And it's just a one thin flannel.
Oh, no.
Yes, that's what's happening.
All right. I understand.
Okay. So.
All right. Well, enough talk about clothes. We are going to take full advantage of Ken not being here, you know, as unfortunate as it is, because I really do like when he's on the show. It's one of the times we get to catch up. It's one of my, you know, like favorite parts of the week.
But we're going to top 10 of what we don't like about Ken.
What 10 top 10? No, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some board games actually, and we're maybe going to like dive deep into at least one of them because I know it bores Ken to death because look, it's no secret. Ken doesn't play board games anymore. He doesn't live here. He used to play games with us all the time, but he doesn't have a game group. So
that's true.
We're going to take advantage of that and talk about some games. So first up on the board games, we played at my Monday night game group before all the work stuff started. We had a game night, and we played a game called Quartermaster General. This is a World War II, you know, war game, right? Like picture Risk, right? Oh, there's all the like territories of World War II. There's the Axis and the Allies. There's two different teams. We were playing with 5 people, so we had the U.S., Britain, and Russia versus somebody was playing Japan and Italy, and another person was playing Germany.
Wait, you played this before the startup or after?
This was before.
Whoa, man.
And, man, you know, I would love to think that I like war games. I like playing that. I like learning about World War II. You know, I'm interested in that.
You act like everybody's like, you're not into war games? Like, I just don't know why you have this drive to
Well, I've always had the dream of, like, getting a real war game. Like a big boy, like, it's like a giant rule book. It's very technical. It's like a simulation. And it
Sounds
takes
horrible.
it's not something you sit down and play in an evening. It's something you have a partner, and it's left out on a table and played over a very long period of time.
That's like what you play when you have your like Golden Girls group. Like when you're older and you guys leave it up.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I would like to do that someday. And I always go back and forth in battle games of whether they're better at 2 players or they're better at like bigger players. So let's think about like a Rising Sun or a Blood Rage, or a what's the no, I'll come back to it. The Fantasy Flight game 40K in space that was StarCraft, the board game remade. Shoot, what's that called? I like that game. Versus like a 2-player war game, where you're like very versus each other. And I never know what's better. Like on the one hand, when you're just playing 2-player, you can like Star Wars Rebellion. Let's think about that, right? You shouldn't feel bad about like doing everything you can to try to beat that other person. It's like part of the game. Mm-hmm. Doing that in a multiplayer game can sometimes feel bad if you like take all your force, all your effort, and you pile it onto one person. Like when you're playing Eclipse, or when we were playing Quartermaster General, or you're playing Rising Sun or whatever. If you're like, I have accumulated all of this power, and I am just going to use it, you typically can only attack one area or one person. And so you just like, boom, you hit them super hard, and maybe you like knock them out of the game, right? And
yeah, I don't think that
like
works.
that can be not fun in some ways, but then the multiplayer aspect of a war game is fun sometimes too, because there's so many different sides happening all at once. Well, I think I think what I like is I don't know. There was there was something about this game that just I tried so hard to like, and for whatever reason I was having a hard time having fun. And I hated that because I felt like it ticked a lot of boxes. It's like a multiplayer war game. Mm-hmm. It's World War II. It's pretty quick playing. But there was something about it that like I just didn't feel like you had the ability to like ever get in control of what you wanted, or if you were, your sole goal all the time was to make the game fun for somebody, game not fun for somebody on the other team. That's to take away their ability to produce resources, to take away their ability to play any cards, to take away their ability to do anything. That is you winning the game, is you essentially trying to make it so some other people on the other team can't really even play.
Well, it just sounds like a bad game.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Maybe it's not fun, but there was definitely like a lot of strategy to it and stuff. So the whole, like, it was World War II, but the whole thing was about supply lines, and it had to do with you could only ever have one unit per territory, and all your units had to be connected back to a capital, which could like essentially supply logistics for troops, right? So you had these like snaking supply lines coming out from these star areas, these like capitals. And if you came in and cut that supply line off, well, then now everything downstream of that's not supplied anymore, and then those units would die off as well. The interesting thing is, like, you could never have more than one unit in a place. You could never build defenses. So these supply lines were, like, going out, getting destroyed, and going out and, like, getting destroyed. And it just seemed like, we were playing 3 versus 2. There's essentially 3 versus 3, but, like, we had 5 people. And, one of the goals of the team was, like, knock out one of the other players as fast as possible and, like, actually knock them out. And there's nothing they can do. Mm-hmm. They can't play anymore. And we played 2 times, and it happened 2 times in a row that the player playing Russia got knocked out of the game. And so then I had a really hard time having any fun with the rest of the game when I know somebody is sitting next to me is not getting to play.
That's what I mean. It doesn't sound like a fun game if that's what you're trying to do in the game. If you don't like that part of the game, that is the rule of the game. So it doesn't sound like a game you like.
Well, and that's why I think this game would be much better of Axis versus Allies, but a 2-player game. Somebody's playing Axis, somebody's playing Allies. You always have a lot of options. Playing this at a multiplayer game just made it seem like, well, if I take out Italy or if I take out Russia or whatever, some of these like powers in the game that are a little bit easier to surround and take out because, again, you can't build defenses in this game. It would be, it's just, like, somebody can get eliminated and they just have to watch, and you've, like, completely blown a game night, really. So I think there was a lot of this is an interesting game, and I'm not going to go too much more detail on how it's played.
It's not a game night. It is it hangs out on the table for the weekend or whatever, and
but it plays a lot quicker than that. It wasn't a very long, like, we played it twice in one night.
Oh, wait, but still, I mean, like, if you're saying you just have 2 hours to hang out with people, this is not the game for you. If you guys are all spending a weekend together playing different games, yeah, sure. Because when it's done, you can do whatever, go hang out, whatever. But if you're saying we just have 2 hours to hang out or 3 hours, whatever game night is, I don't think it's the game you want to get out.
Yeah, because I think it boiled down to Axis versus Allies. And when you had multiplayers, you had just people playing pieces of that. And if I cut off one of your territories, then that whole player is out of the game. And there's not really anything for them to do. That's my biggest complaint, I think.
They should be the, like, waiter then of the chef.
Well, yeah, maybe
whoever gets out first has to go make the snacks.
Maybe we should have done it that way.
Gotta think if you guys want to play these kinds of games.
The other thing we played recently, that was an older game that we brought out to the table. Mm-hmm. Would you like to introduce this one for us, Emily?
Are you talking about Suburbia?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I got it right. Yeah, Suburbia.
This was your idea.
This one. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm like, I just didn't know if you were talking about something else. Yeah, we got out Suburbia. We have not played. In the box top, it said 2020, 2019.
We played in February of 2020 was the last time we played.
I don't believe that. I don't remember that at all. Like, it just seems, no.
I'd have to go back and look. We've played this game many times, but we used to play it a lot more than we have recently.
It's been a lot longer.
We played in 2020, and before that, we probably played in we play like once each year. And then if you go back 4 or 5 years, then we play it like a ton of times. You know what I mean?
Well, it was kind of in our first 10 games we owned or something.
Yeah, it was definitely in the when we had 5 to 10 games that we were rolling through all the time. That was one of the ones we had. Which
I think it works great for that. It's a great game.
We do not have the deluxeified Kickstarter. I don't even know what's deluxeified about the Kickstarter that they did a few years ago. I know there was a ton of player colors that you could be for some reason.
I think they just tried to up the tiles, but everybody was complaining that it was harder to read the tiles.
The text was too small?
Yeah, the text and everything's smaller than this game, and it's already pretty small. So, I don't know. I don't really mind its look or anything. It kind of has that, cookie cutter, look to it of, building a city.
Yeah, if anybody hasn't played or heard of Suburbia, it's from Ted Alspach of Bezier Games. And you are building, it's a tile laying game. You're laying hex tiles, and they have all kinds of adjacency bonuses. There's different colored ones, and then they all play off each other. The theme of it is sort of SimCity-like. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a city builder. You're not it's not like simulating building a city, but
no.
That is the theme of this tile laying game.
No, it's more like I'm putting in a hotel. It doesn't matter if it's a hotel. What matters is it's +1 next to greens.
It gets extra points because of other people's residential tiles.
Yeah,
right.
If you have a group of this together, each tile just has a bonus or negative on it. -1 next to a factory or whatever.
Yeah, light rail likes to be by commercial and residential.
But it's not like I'm like, ooh, I really want a movie theater. That's not happening in this version. I mean, I guess you can do that a little bit, but for the most part.
Now, I say that up front. Okay, it's hard to say this is a city builder, but to me it is. To me, it totally is. I am building a little city. At the end, I like to see how it turned out. I like to see, here's this part of the town, and here's this lake, and here's what we built up around the lake, and way out on the other side of the lake's the airport.
Well, it's
and
fun
then
to do that.
Past the airport is where we have the landfill, And I really like looking at my little city that I made at the end. But again, I'm city in quotes. It doesn't look like a city. I'm playing pretend.
Well, it was like, I think our oldest was like, what's Suburbia? Because she really likes Life, like the game Life, the old, simple, regular life. And I think she thought it was similar because it looks, starting a family or going to the suburbs.
Right.
And I was like, well, it's not really, you're not like getting that theme really from it in that way, like one of those games. But
yeah, I mean, you're talking to the person who, when I play Race for the Galaxy, I look at my tableau at the end and pretend this is the galaxy I rule, and like I always make sure there's like the party planet. There's the
the like dancing ones.
Yes,
They are the best. And like the ones where they're like painting.
Like, I always feel like your tableau at the end of Race for the Galaxy can tell a story of like what kind of empire you have. Like, we're really big into like mining and then feeding that into our military and taking over other planets or whatever. And this is the same way with Suburbia. I love being like, okay, every decision I made over the course of the game had nothing to do with building a city. It was all about like, this tile's going to trigger this and give me this, and it works well with these. And then, but based on all those little tiny decisions that I made, a city is built. And I like looking at that city at the end.
Yeah, it's just like a fun bonus, essentially. That game's so much faster than I remember. I don't know if we were just like really slow, but we just kind of got started, and all of a sudden it was like, game's almost done. And I don't know, we were going like quick. Maybe I don't know. It seemed faster this time, didn't it?
Well, it was... maybe we've just like games have gotten a little bigger, a little longer, a little more complicated, and going back to something that's like very straightforward.
Very just like pick a tile, pay for it, next.
I feel like I don't buy a lot of games that are like that anymore because
Well, I don't think they make many games like that anymore.
Yeah, well, I think they do.
I mean, like the hot topic, like the new games that everybody always says, oh my gosh, it's always like, does it fit on the table? How many crazy little component? Like, it seems like everybody's always trying to up it. So a lot of those little games I don't even like hear about a lot of times.
Well, games are expensive. And, a game
too.
like Juicy Fruits isn't that much cheaper than a big boy game. And if I want to play a quick tile line game, I have Suburbia. And I think that's why I end up always buying the big flashy games because... if you're gonna spend the money, I want to see what, I want to get like a big exciting package. I'm not necessarily looking for. We have a huge collection of games. I'm not looking for another like 1 hour, interesting fun game. Like I have lots that fit that. Unless we went and said, okay, we're tired of all these and actually got rid of them and then got new ones because we're hobbyists and like to play new stuff, which I think is going to happen at some point. Like, you just kind of get tired of games.
I feel like there's some games here that I kind of made a list. I was like, we could get rid of this, this, and this.
It's a huge list, actually. And it's, it's stuff we've loved in the past. And
well, some things I like, but it's more of the thought of, like, what's it called? Like, price per play kind of thing. Where in my mind, I'm like, yeah, that game's fine, or it's good. But we never play it because at 2, it doesn't play as well. And the chance of this and that. And so a lot of times I'm like, because we don't play it often, it doesn't make sense to keep it. So let's like give it away or sell it. So it's not that I like hate the game or something. I don't think there were any games I hated that I put on the list. There might have been a few that I was like, it's not my style, not a fan. There weren't games though that I was like, this is horrible. We need to get rid of it. They just don't come out enough. It doesn't make sense to keep it on the shelf when it doesn't work good at 2-player or something.
But we definitely have games, too, that, haven't gotten out in a while or haven't gotten out much. Like, I'm looking at Nova Luna right now, right? I would love to play that again.
Where is that?
And mainly that's because I haven't played it in a while, right? And so, but, do I want to play Last Bastion? Well, maybe, actually. We haven't played that in a long time. See, now I can look at anything and I'm starting to get excited.
I'm like, where's Waldoing? And I can't find any of these games you're picking.
Quacks of Quedlinburg. Let's play that. Steamrollers. That's a good one. Man. Okay. Anyway, getting distracted. What? Before we move on, Suburbia's been in our collection forever. We've played it a ton of times, and you were the one who wanted to pull it out. So, like, what brings you back to Suburbia?
I think I just wanted to play like an older, almost like we said, now games seem very like ba-boom. Kind of just wanted to play a simple, good game. It is very simple when it comes to like what you do. And the tiles aren't super complex. Like now I feel like a lot of games, it's like, hold on, I need to find all the symbols. It's very simple to figure out and read. And I just wanted to play that like, but can you beat this simple puzzle? Mm-hmm. I like those games.
The one knock I have against Suburbia is it always sort of has the same arc. It is get high income so you can support getting high reputation towards the end of the game.
I think there's an expansion with more tiles, right?
So we have one of those mixed in, and we don't play with a lot of the expansion stuff, which is like those, remember those like little sideboards?
Yeah.
And they're like borders
I remember that.
You can put
on.
On.
For like points and stuff.
There's another expansion that we never got, and I don't know what's in that one.
I was going to say the only thing I wish is it had more tiles so it wasn't like the same, if you get 2 airports, I know I can do, like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I wish it had a little more variety, kind of like having a bunch of cards for a game, tiles, so that we could really like switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't know. It's a fun game. It's good.
Yeah. It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
That's our thing. It's good. It's a good one. I like it. I like it. Okay.
I wanted to quickly mention we very recently played The King's Dilemma again. This is a legacy sort of storytelling game where you're voting on passing decrees in a kingdom. And it's still fun. Has it lost a little bit of its luster now that we've seen how the mechanics of it work? I think a little bit. At first, we had no idea what's going on. We're sort of role-playing our houses and arguing over decisions. And we have no idea where it's going to go. It was so exciting. And now that we've seen a couple of the storylines play all the way out, and you see sort of like under the hood of like how this is supposed to work and where this is supposed to go, it's like, all right. So I feel like some of the decrees that come out were a little bit going through the motions of like, all right. Like the last time we played, there wasn't a lot of like arguing. And this game is most fun when you just decide to role play that your house is a certain way. And then you're like, well, I'm going to bury myself in this decision because this is what my house would do.
You have to role play though?
You don't have to role play, but role play is what makes it fun. Yeah.
I would hate this game.
Yeah, I don't think you would like it very much. Like Quinn somehow his house, like, well, this is spoilers for the game, so I don't want to say it in case anybody does play King's Dilemma.
Well, then don't say it.
Yeah,
don't
but
say anything.
It's sort of like his house turned very like evil almost, and now what has been fun is while he himself is not evil, he almost like begrudgingly like role plays his house, and not like I don't want to. He's like, it kills me to do this, but this is what my house would do.
I'd be evil, that's for sure.
Oh, he is as bad as it gets.
But I just would not. I don't enjoy role play games.
Well, this is my D&D group, you know.
Well, exactly. That's why I'm not questioning why you guys are playing. I'm just saying I would not. That's all. That's not my thing.
Do we want to take a little break?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll talk about the main event. All right, the big boy tonight, the star of the show, and the perfect game to talk about when Ken's not around, so we can really dig into it. We jumped on the bandwagon. Not really. I pre-ordered Ark Nova is the game we're going to talk about. I pre-ordered Ark Nova a long time ago. I think I watched, I think I was listening to the Dice Tower podcast last year.
And they reviewed it and said
and
they liked
Tom Vassell said he gives it a 10 out of 10. And I just went on the internet and I typed Ark Nova, and I think Game Nerds had a pre-order up for it.
TakeMyMoney.com.
Exactly. And I said, I'm going to pre-order that game. And it finally came. So in May of... You know, I think I ordered it last year.
I saw a lot of people with it ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised ours took so long, but
this is the hotness. It's been at the top of the BGG hotness for a long time. It's like number 19 or something like that on Board Game Geek at the moment. I mean, it has climbed to the top. Like I said, Tom Vassell. I've never heard Tom give a game a 10 out of 10. He gave this game a 10 out of 10. I saw a post from Jamie Stegmaier that said this is his favorite heavy game he's ever played. Maybe that I saw numerous other board game influencers.
ugh.
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 Ugh. I don't want to be that.
Ugh.
Content.
Ugh.
Daddy made you some content.
As soon as someone says content, I want to like rip my eyes out. I hate.
This is the hotness. Though. This is the biggest big game to come out in a while that everybody, for whatever reason, unanimously agrees that this is a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally showed up, and we played it immediately. We actually delayed the recording of this podcast. The day this showed up, I read the rule book, and we played it that night. We played it again the next day.
Well, we played like probably half of a game the first night. It was learning and half a game.
Well, unfortunately, I got called to do some work right in the middle of that first play.
Yeah.
We finished it the next day, then played it again that night.
Excuse me. I think it's nice, though, to kind of learn the rules, play a little bit, kind of like a little test game, and then really play.
Because there's a lot going on in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 1 to 4 players, 90 to 150 minutes. Man, it'd be tough to do this in 90 minutes, but I guess I could see it if you were really cooking.
90. I don't think 90's that crazy.
Nope, if
but
2 players,
I do like that it tells you it's probably going to be more.
Yep. BGG weight is 3.74. I would completely agree with that. This is sort of on the upper end of medium, right?
Yeah.
Think about like an Underwater Cities. This is about the same weight as that, the same mental capacity.
More.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more, but I wouldn't.
Maybe not, actually.
You know, right in that ballpark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, Emily has written down some information for me here. Matthias Wig is the designer, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Publisher was Feuerland Spiele in Germany, and in the U.S. we got Capstone Games version of this game. I think that's the case. I don't do a ton of research, so please send me hate mail. Actually, it's nice to get any mail at all. So if I mess that up, let me know.
Email us for that.
In Ark Nova, you are building a zoo, but not just any zoo. You're trying to build a zoo that has a certain attraction level at the same time that you are trying to, do a number of conservation projects to help, the conservation of whatever kinds of animals you tend to be focusing on. So in the game, you are both tracking your attraction points of your park and your conservation points, or the effort you've put into conservation at the same time. These are 2 tracks that are going in opposite directions. Mm-hmm. The game ends when somebody's conservation and attraction points markers cross. Yep. That's the end of the game. So it's a bit of a race. There's not a set number of turns.
Yeah. You can definitely see that someone's getting closer and you're like, shit.
So. But, it's sort of like snowballs, right? You sort of like chip away. And then once you've built up quite the tableau,
it's a lot easier
you can start really knocking out some of those conservation points. And all of a sudden the end game comes. Boom, it comes real quick.
It always comes, 1 turn before you want it to.
So this game, it comes with a gigantic stack of cards. I don't know how many cards are in there.
I think it said like 100. Man, I don't know.
It's unshuffably big.
It was like 168 cards. It's a lot.
It's a huge stack. It reminds me, if you have Wingspan and all the expansions, that gigantic stack of cards that you don't know how to shuffle. I have the same problem here.
My God, Ben and shuffling of cards is like his arch enemy. We're walking this morning, and he's like, you know what I don't like? And he pauses, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know there was something you didn't like so much about the game. He's like angry. He's like, I don't know how I'm going to shuffle those cards. Like, this is such a dad problem right here. What am I going to do? Same with Wingspan. Are you kids seeing this right here? Like, if we get it out, it's like you have to show everyone how big.
Look at this stack.
Oh, you think that's big? Let me get my other box.
I do always do that. I was like, you think this is a lot of cards? Look at how many I don't have pulled out of the box.
This is like your grass is cut nice. Like, your lawn is how big of a deck.
How big of a deck I have. How big of a long bronze
A
deck?
long bronze you have.
But so the deck, it consists mainly of animal cards, and these are all kinds of real animals, and they're like stylized pictures. They're clearly a real picture that was like had a filter put over it that
It was
makes
like
it look
HDR
when you
with a
put
filter.
the art filter over a real picture. And that's okay. I like that. I don't mind that at all. Everything looks great because it was a real picture of something. So it's mostly animals that you would find all over the world or in zoos. And then some of the cards are conservation projects, and some of the cards are
sponsors.
Yes, which are essentially like bonuses. And over the course of the game, you have a player board down in front of you that has sort of this hex-based grid that is your actual zoo. And into your zoo, you're going to be putting different size tiles of enclosures.
Yeah.
And then the animals fit in different sized enclosures with different requirements. So maybe they need to be by water, maybe they need to be by rocks, and these are things that are on your board. And so, when you play a big bear into your park, it gives you a certain attraction level, and you mark up your attraction points.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward with that. But the way you play is you choose an action to do. So you have cards that say either like gain more cards, play an animal card, build an enclosure, play a sponsor card, or association station, we like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Which association is essentially like putting little markers onto the conservation projects and gaining benefits for your zoo, like making a what's it called? What's this? A pact with like another country? What is it's not a pact.
It's like an agreement or a partnership.
There you go, partnership.
Partnership with another zoo.
People watch me like shake my own two hands together. So it's kind of like those little extra for points things for the conservation points. But when you pick, you're like, I'm going to do animals, and each one has a step to it, a 1 through 5. So you have better things you can do with the cards with the higher numbers than the lower numbers. But once you use that card as an action, it goes down to a 1. And then kind of you have to build them back up to use them certain ways. So I do like that. It's very interesting how you have the same actions, but they might be in different orders, and they're different levels of the actions. And there's like a better side on the other side of the card for the benefits that you can eventually flip. So there's like more to it than just 5 actions.
Yeah, and I do think this has been explained well in other places, but it's still worthwhile to talk about. You have 5 actions you can do on your turn represented by these cards, and there are 5 positions that those cards can be in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The number of the position is going to then play into the power of the card. So if you're at a 5, you can do more with the sponsor card than you can when it's at a 2 or whatever.
And it just says that on your card.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing an animal at 2, you can maybe do 1 animal. At 5, maybe you can do 2 animals.
You can play 2 animal cards. Yeah, exactly. And then when you use it, so on your turn, you say, I'm going to do this action, and you sort of slide that card down. You execute that action. Typically doesn't take very long. Then that card slides down to the 1 spot. And this gives the game so much momentum, is that these are the 5 actions you can do, and all you do on your turn is you pick one, you slide it down, you execute it. Doesn't take very long. Typically slides down to the 1 slot, and then the other person goes and takes their turn, or if you have more than 2 players, you continue around the table. And I will say one thing, this works very good at 2, I thought.
Yeah, I think it works great too. I didn't see any issues with the player count.
But I found turns to be so... Now, I'm typically a person who goes with my gut, and I play very quickly. I just like to make decisions and play fast. And this game, it moves so fast until you get to the break, which sort of like stops the game for a second. It moves so fast that a lot of times I had not decided what I was going to do by the time you finished your turn.
Yeah, it's very quick.
It's like... And that is... There is so much weight to this game, because I was talking about that hex-based zoo board with the tiles. You're playing on it for the enclosures, and there's a couple other things you can play on there, like kiosks. And
yeah, there's obviously a little more to the game than just what we're saying.
You're also dealing with your attraction points and supporting conservation projects. You have 3 different kinds of cards, and they're all played in 3 different ways. You also have reputation, and that affects how you can get cards from this card row display. If you want to have access to those, you need higher reputation, and there's bonuses with all of that. There's zoo partnerships. There's university partnerships. and then there's different tiers that unlock when you upgrade the cards. Each of the 5 action cards can be upgraded. There's a lot to this game to read the rules and explain. But on your turn, you pick one of your cards. It says on the card what you can and can't do with it.
And I will admit that it's labeled nice. It's simple. That part is pretty easy peasy. There's a couple other things that bugged me for a little bit, but.
And so because of that, you're like, well, and so it can move very quickly, but you almost don't fall into the trap too much because your hand size is 3 cards. Now that's only enforced during this break, and maybe we could talk about that in a little bit, but you never have. You rarely do you have tons of cards in your hand.
At the most, I even have 6 cards. You go down to 3 or something.
Right.
You don't have that many. You don't have time to get that many necessarily.
Yeah. It's funny in a game that takes a while to play, 2 hours probably, you feel like you don't have time to do much of anything.
That is true.
It's because it's a race.
But I like that it doesn't feel long at all.
No.
Which I like because we've played games before where you're kind of like, are you done yet or are you still going? And you just kind of sit there, and this is not that.
And so for me, there's no way I couldn't like this game. It has a giant deck of cards, right?
Loves his deck
I
of
do
cards.
love giant decks of cards. I love that every time you play, you're going to get a different huge lineup of stuff that you're going to have to deal with somehow. I like that the hand sizes are small, so you can't be super strategic. If you have a hand size of 3 and you play the animal animal action at level 5, which allows you to play 2 animal cards. If you had enough money to do that, it's very expensive to play animal cards. Mm-hmm. Maybe now you're down to 1 card, right? You're not like putting together a giant overarching strategy for the whole game because you only have access to such a limited piece of information at a time. You only have a couple of cards and you have to decide what to do with them.
You kind of have to wing it through the game. Because
the whole time
you don't know what you're going to get next, because you could be going for some card that says you need 3 monkeys to achieve some card for the conservation. Well, you have no clue what you're going to pick up, and getting cards, I mean, you can see a couple in the middle, but overall grabbing cards, all of a sudden you go, oh wait, I have 2 that line up for this way, or I have this that goes this way, and you're very much just kind of playing by whatever you randomly pick up.
Well, exactly. You are definitely at the whims of the randomness of the game. If you play a sponsor in the beginning of the game that gives you bonuses for playing cards from the Americas, and you never really get any animals from the Americas, that's a little bit probably your fault. Because if you had focused on the card row and drawing cards, you could have gotten them. But also, maybe they didn't come up. And so that's the thing is, like, it has to be the kind of game where you're just sort of along for the ride, and you're just making the best decision you can in the moment. And it feels like you have a strategy. It feels like you're working towards those conservation projects that are out on the board that are going to give you those green points you need. But,
that was my fault last time, though. I tried to do something, and it did not work. And everything I was picking up didn't go with it. And I just didn't. It took me too long to get everything. Cause it's like I was almost waiting for the right card. And I messed up big time.
I think if you hold on to a strategy for too long in this game, it can kill you. You have to be able to pivot based on what cards come out. Both cards that you draw directly to your hand and the cards that are in the card display. Because once you start upgrading your actions, you can play cards from the card display like they're in your hand. And so it becomes a big deal what's out there.
Snap.
Well, you can snap them into your hand, sure.
I hate that snap, but that's fine.
I don't know. What I'm trying to think of is, like, what can we say about this game that isn't, like, you could pull up a review, you could go look at, and I've listened to these reviews. These reviews got me excited about this game.
I think the thing is, though, like, I mean, it's still, this is always my problem. Everyone ups things so much that I'm so excited, and I play, and I'm like, well, I don't know, like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say this is a good, if you like a medium weight, maybe a little bit closer to the heavier side,
heavy,
but
yeah.
If you like those kind of games, you'll probably like this, and I think it's a good game to have in your collection. I don't think it didn't blow my mind. I definitely was like, this reminds me of this. This reminds me of this game. This reminds me of this game. Not in like a copycat way, but just little things, obviously. But I thought overall it's a fun game. And I was kind of saying the other day that I wanted another medium weight game to pull out for those, like, you want a longer game night. And I think this works great. I just thought it was fun. I think it's good. It's fun.
It's a good one.
It's good.
Great.
I like it.
It for us, I think it falls into the time frame and the mental effort of Underwater Cities, of Tapestry, of Hallertau. It's that kind of weight. It's that kind of game, and it is definitely good enough that it's going to stick around.
It does. I will say, though, if you like 2-player games, I thought it played great at 2.
Sure. I think it probably plays best at 2 because at more players, it doesn't really change anything except it would take longer. That's all that would happen.
Yeah, it would probably be like the game's done a little bit quicker, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not.
No, because, I mean, it's not like the points don't go up any faster. You
That's
just have
true.
one more person taking a turn. So it would just take 50% longer.
But I think the main thing that we are always looking for is, does it play good at 2? Because there's some medium
Plays
weight
great at
games
2.
that don't work. This one, plays good. Like, really good. I didn't see any issues with, like, well, it might be more fun. Like, it played great.
This definitely falls victim to the hype train. The first game, the gameplay, it was like, you know, I was not blown out of the water. But I will say this. We've played 2 games the last 2 days, and if you ask me right now what game do I want to play, I would say Ark Nova. So, but I don't want to hype it up either, because I feel like that level of excitement, that level of hype or whatever, is not necessarily appropriate for it. It's good. It's even great. But it's not like the greatest thing that ever happened. Well, let me ask you this. If it's good, not great, what is a great game to you to compare it to?
I like Orleans better.
Orleans definitely has like some elegance to it.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just my personal. I think this game is good. I think my only thing would be some nights I would go, I don't quite want to set that much up and maybe play that long. So, if there was a night that you didn't want a 2-hour game, I can see being like, nah, I'm going to pass on this one and grab something else.
Yeah.
But overall, it would come out the same as like any other medium weight games we have. I don't know. Yes, it's the whole like, oh my God, Game of the Year award. And you're like, well, okay, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah. But
Calm down.
But I don't disagree with that. Like, it definitely could be Game of the Year. I'm not comparing it against anything else that came out last year right now.
Well, I don't know what,
It is probably one of the best games that came out last year. It's probably my favorite game that came out last year.
Probably is. I don't know. Everyone was upping it like I was going to play it and go, oh my gosh, I can't even figure. This is blowing my mind. And so I'm like, it's a game. I like games, but it's a game. Calm down a little bit. That's all.
It's a tough teach because, there's each of the 5 actions. You have to explain what each of them does. There is all the cards, the different kinds of cards, all the symbols on the cards. And there's also another worker placement board. Then when you do the association action, that essentially means do a worker placement action.
Association station?
Yeah. Place a worker on the worker placement board, which is actually the only way to play on conservation projects. That's interesting. It's very difficult to get conservation points.
Yeah.
I think that's purposeful, obviously, because that's sort of the end game trigger.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say I kind of like that it's probably a pretty quick setup because it comes with organizers for the components. So you would pull those out,
setup isn't necessarily
set up the boards, give everybody a player board,
longer.
and shuffle the deck, and you'd be good to go.
But how do we shuffle that deck?
I mean, we play Orleans. Yeah, right, good point. We play Orleans a lot, but oh my gosh, setting up that game is such a pain in the ass.
Too,
it takes me like a freaking half an hour to set that game up. Now, I'll do it because I love that game.
I mean, overall, though, I would just say if you're looking for a 2-player medium weight, you like Underwater Cities, you like I'm trying to think of what else it really reminded me of.
I would say like a Terraforming Mars in
Yeah.
the way that you have a giant deck of cards, and then that plays into building a tableau, but also plays into building out on a board.
Yes.
Except in this case, you have a personal player board. You're not playing out into like a community
Into
board.
that. Yeah, big
It's
one.
very much Terraforming Mars like, except it's better than Terraforming Mars.
Yes. I
for sure.
think it's better than that. But if you like those kind of games, I would just say check this one out. I think you'd probably like it.
All right, awesome. Why don't we move on to some boom 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 Instagram questions? We need our sound effects. You got to get on. See, if anybody doesn't know, our intro music is recorded. It was just a joke when we kind of started the podcast. It's just our kids play piano with a microphone up against it. And we actually recorded a bunch of like bumper sounds on that thing, and they're so dumb. And it's like Emily being like, board games, and it's like work out, like all this stuff. We got to bust those out.
I gave that piano away though, so
No,
I'm sorry. There's a new kid in town, Phil. Not Phil. Ted. I gave it to Phil
Big
to
T.
give to Ted.
Capital T.
So Ted is making some tunes, but we don't have it anymore.
Dang.
So, but Instagram questions.
All right, it was requested that I did not read these questions.
I didn't want you to look at these.
And I didn't look at them. They're
Okay.
here on this piece of paper. I somehow managed to not read what they say.
Wow, talent. Okay, there's two, both from Emotional Cyborg. But they kind of go together, so I wanted to read both of them, and then you can answer.
Okay.
So, one is, I know how to safely lift weights. How do I turn that into getting fit? And then the other one, because they both kind of go hand in hand, is I'm starting to weight lift seriously. I'm setting up a routine, but how do I know when or how to adjust?
Okay. The first question has an easy answer. And it's it's
I'm
consistency.
Sorry.
No, I'm setting up a routine, or no, I know how to
safely lift weights.
How do I
turn
turn
it into getting fit?
into getting fit? Consistency, right? So there's a certain level of volume and intensity that I would say is a minimum to sort of see improvement. Volume being how much you're doing, and intensity being how hard it is. So in the case of lifting weights, typically that's how much weight is on the bar. The intensity. You could talk about power movements, about how fast you're going to move. Maybe you're going to try to push really fast through a movement or whatever. But intensity is how hard you're pushing. So that could be either the weight or the effort. And then volume is how much, right? So, if you're working out for 45 minutes to an hour, 4 to 5 times a week, you will see huge improvements if you stick to that routine for a long period of time. It doesn't even matter what you're doing. If you're doing that much stuff for that long, you will just get fit. Like, and there's no, unless that was 45 minutes of walking, you'd probably lose a lot of weight walking 45 minutes every day consistently.
Man, I wish.
Well, maybe not then, right? But if that's maybe the intensity isn't high enough then.
Jesus Christ, what do you want me to do?
What I'm saying is consistency is the key,
Okay.
right? Consistency in diet, consistency in exercise, and you will see results.
And then setting up a routine, how do you know when or how to adjust?
I would reevaluate every 4 to 6 weeks. So
Just be like, if it's easy,
this is
go
easy
up
for
in
me,
weight
and I'm
kind of
not
thing?
seeing results.
Or
Then make a change.
more...
But I would do something if you put a plan together. So like, let's see, I'm setting up a routine. So you set up a routine, stick to that routine. If you're just starting out, do it for 4 weeks. If maybe there's a little bit more thought into that routine, stick to it for 6 weeks. And if you haven't gotten to where you wanted to be at the end of that 6 weeks, then it's time to say like, all right, what did I expect to get out of this, and what didn't I get out of it, and how can I change that? Right, where do I see weaknesses or whatever? But
So what if you I don't even know. What if you wanted to bench? Let's just say 100, just to make it easy.
Okay, yeah.
And after 6 weeks, you still haven't gotten there. Should you continue with it, or should you change it?
Depends. Is the number going up? Were you at 50 and now you can do 65 and you're trying to get to 100? Like,
let's say you were.
if you're at
Let's say you're
50 and now you're at
still
50.
Let's say you're still just not like confident with it. You're not like there yet.
Well,
just
that's
stick with it until you get it.
the fun is, well, but not sticking with it for like just like whatever. It's the fun is, so if you commit to this is what I'm going to do all the time. Like if consistency is the commitment, I'm going to just do this forever, right? I'm always going to do this. This is a part of who I am now.
This is me.
This is
now
what I
the
do.
Barbell.
Then you have the freedom that time is not necessarily against you, right? So if you do 6 weeks and you didn't see the improvements you wanted, then try to do a completely different kind of bench routine for the next 6 weeks. And do you get completely different results? Maybe they're slightly different one way or the other. Then you do a hybrid of those, right? And at this point in time, you're only not even quite 3 months in to whatever, right? And so the big picture is you're never going to make huge improvements in a month. You're never going to make huge improvements in 2 months, but you are going to make improvements year over year. You know, when I did the powerlifting total with Ken and I was just over like 1,100 pounds the first time we did it.
Oh, I was like, you did not weigh.
And then, no, my total was.
I know,
and then the next year, then when I got serious, it wasn't like if we did that I think we did that in April. I wasn't seeing what it was in June. The next time I tested it was a year later, and I was over 1,200 pounds. And then the next year after that, this last one, I was hoping to be up around 13. I didn't quite get there, but I was higher, and I was stronger. And even if the numbers weren't that much bigger, I was way stronger this time. No, because I had learned so much from those previous 2 years about what to do differently. And this is a long-term thing but this thing it can only be learned through consistency. It's the same thing like right now I'm trying to get better at running. I signed up for a half marathon and I have a goal time. It's never going to happen. And right now the number one thing I need to do is more volume. And I just have to run all the time. All the time meaning each time I work out, it needs to be a run. And I need more volume, more miles per week. And then there's one day a week where I get to run as fast as I can, right?
Well,
over some distance.
You should take Taters to the track, see who wins.
Yeah, right? It may be I'm running 800s, maybe I'm running 1 miles, maybe I'm going to run a 5K as fast as I can or whatever. That's only one day a week. But that's not going to make me a better runner that one day without all those other days. Consistency is the key in everything. It also will give you the answers to what do I need to change, because you'll get to see it changing over time.
Okay. You give me a little head nod like I just learned something. Thank you, Ben.
Hey, you threw this question at me.
Okay. Ryan Quinn wants to know, what factors most drive your decision-making process for what games to purchase?
Yeah, whatever looks cool at the time.
Oh my God, no, Ben, no. First of all, I need to think at least that it's gonna play good at 2, because that's number one. But then also, the theme of it needs to not be what you guys play at game night. It's not like a war, King's Dilemma game, because I'm not gonna play those.
Mm-hmm.
It gets, bonus points for being cute, but also if it looks like it's gonna be way too heavy, that's a no-no, because I don't want to play those.
I take gambles on heavy games all the time, though, because they're hit or miss. Every once in a while, rarely, less.
Like what?
Well, like an Arc Nova, right? That was considered a heavy game. It's very advertised very much as a heavy game. I didn't go look at the BGG weight. I think the 3.74 is very appropriate for it. But I didn't go look at that. Everybody said this is a heavy game, and I'm thinking it's going to be Vital Lacerda heavy.
Yeah, and that's.
And I was like, okay, giddy up. Gaia Project, right?
Yeah.
These are games. These are like heavy games, and I continually try because I like
our
heavy
money.
games. For me, I like heavy games.
I know you do, but you know I don't. That's like me.
But it's trying to find that compromise of like, okay, here's one that's heavy that you actually don't mind, and so then I get to scratch that itch, right? That's a feast for Odin, right? That's a heavier game, but it scratches that itch for me. But it's a game that you can play, right? That you like to play.
You're like, right?
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 No, and the real answer to this question is what factors most drive my decision for picking out games? Do I think Emily's going to play this or not?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was saying what my factors are for do I think I'm going to play it or not.
And my factor is do I think Emily's going to play it or not? That's the only one that matters.
I don't think you factored that in at all. You just kind of like blind, like click, click, click. What adds up to the shipping? Like free shipping.
That's not true at all. I always am looking for like...
You threw a game in with Ark Nova that I don't even care for.
I didn't know that at the time. Remember, I pre-ordered Ark Nova last year.
Oh my god. This is what I'm talking about. Well, sure.
Look, I can't know everything about you. It's always a gamble. Like the fact that you don't like that micro macro, I thought
it's fine. It's just kind of like Where's Waldo.
Exactly. I love Where's Waldo so much. My favorite books to get from the library with the kids is
I would rather play Where's Waldo.
Ah, man.
I just find that kind of like, I don't know.
I think I've gotten better at knowing what you do and don't like, but I certainly haven't gotten perfect. And I don't want to always be limited to just, like, I like to take a little risk sometimes and see what happens. And some of them have paid off.
I don't mind a risk when it's not like an $80 risk. That's a big risk.
That's a big risk. Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Plus shipping.
Oof. That's why you just...
That's why you throw micro macro
in there and get you for that free shipping.
Oh, my gosh. My main factors, though, is I'm like, is it good at 2-player? And we would play this like after kids go to bed. Because if a game is super long, too, that doesn't work. Usually it's not going to get out to the table much. So
if we ignore that for a second, why do I order games? It's stuff that I'm excited about. Whether it's because the board gaming community is excited about it, the Kickstarter is going huge. There's a lot of people getting in on it, or that like it's a big name designer. It's a Stefan Feld or an Uwe Rosenberg or whatever, and it's their next big game. Like for me, I don't read rule books ahead of time. I don't examine.
You can read rule books ahead of time?
Oh, yeah, a lot of times, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That would be not fun.
Yep, you can. Well, a lot of times the rule books are on the Kickstarter page, and the rule books are up, on the publishers' websites. Oof, or
that's rough.
On BGG, right? I don't even watch like tons of reviews or whatever. I just see games that there's either like the hype is around, or I have a history with the designer, or it just looks it's just getting me excited.
Personal history with the designer.
Because we played a lot of their games, maybe, right?
I know what you mean. I'm not confused by this. You seem confused.
I think I buy board games on a whim.
Yeah, of course you do.
I buy
Ben
board games on a whim.
Very like clickbait central.
Oh yeah.
Ben is the guy in the line at the store who like gets all the grab and go snacks at the end kind of thing. Like not snacks, but like anything there. Like, ooh, that seems like a good deal. And you're like, no, they put that there to trick you into thinking it's a good deal.
Guilty as charged.
That is you. So that makes sense. Okay. Board to play. Joe said, do you think you will stream playing board games?
No.
I love that. No. But I think our thing has always been like, if you check out our stories and we're playing a board game, we'll kind of show little snippets of our game because that's fun. But I am not going to set up 8 cameras. I also don't really care about watching someone else play a board game overall. Like, I don't know. I don't care. Obviously, some people do.
Well, that's a good point. It's hard to make content that you don't personally like indulge in yourself, and I've never watched a live stream of a board game.
Now, if I knew the people, I would watch it, but because I just want to watch the people I know who I enjoy,
hang out with them.
Yeah. But overall, I don't think I'd really care about like if I wanted to learn about a game that I didn't have, like if we didn't have Arc Nova, I don't think I would want to watch someone play it. Like that for me would not.
Right.
That one, but that's for me. But no, that's so much work. I don't want to do that. And it seems like everybody's trying to do that, and I don't want to do that. That's no.
Well, I think the key word there is work. Like, I love playing board games with you. When we have game night, date night, and it's the two of us playing games, the last 2 nights we got to play games for the first time in a while, right? There was a big break there, and then we got to play games, and I had so much fun. And that really plays into Arc Nova's favor, actually, is that how much I was away from games. And then me and you sat down and played a game. Now, we do Instagram stories while we play games, but to me, that's not work. That's painless. They're funny. You know, every single one of them's a joke.
It's just us goofing around.
You know, and whether other people like those or not, I have no idea, because we actually watch our stories back, and I think it's so freaking
That's
funny.
actually why I do the stories, because I will then do the like, hey, 1 year ago, what did we play, or what, like randomly, and then we'll watch the highlights, and I'm like, man, that was a good night.
That was
like,
funny.
Yeah.
But
it's actually just like I'm making a big scrapbook for myself.
But I'm never playing a game. I'm never playing a game for somebody other than the people at the table.
As soon as we have to like set too much stuff up, it's like work and it's not fun, and I don't want to do it then.
I love playing board games. I really, really do. It's one of my favorite things. I love playing games with you. I love playing games with the Monday night group. I love whenever we can rope anybody else in to play games. But I'm never trying to like. I've never even thought, if this question hadn't come up, it would never cross my mind to share that experience in any way outside of the group at the table. I just love it so much.
I mean, even like,
I don't want it to be work.
I said not too long ago on Instagram how I wasn't going to be like posting and this and that as much, because it was like work. It's like not paid for work, and it doesn't bring me any joy. It's like I'm Maria Kondoing it or whatever. Is that her name? I have no clue.
I don't have no idea who you're talking about.
You know the like, does it bring you joy?
Oh,
Marie Kondo? Is that Marie Kondo?
Like throw away everything in your house, lady?
Yeah, but I'm saying like, hey, if me being like, I gotta do a post for what? Like for some random people to talk to me? I enjoy the community we've made. I enjoy the friends we've made, and like talking back and forth with people, goofing around about games that like we both know with people. And like recommending and sharing things, and someone else being like, hey, I think you'd like this. Like we had a ton of people who we talk to like now and then or follow or whatever, who are like, hey, I think you guys would like Arc Nova. And like, I appreciate that. Random people from around the world who are like, hey, I kind of know you two enough to say, I think you would like this game. You guys should go check it out. Like, that's awesome. But as soon as it's like work of me trying to do something, it's not like a fun thing for me. And so it's a no-go.
Well, and it's because it's very hard to portray physical things in a live stream. You'd have to set up cameras and angles, and we'd have to go get a stream deck and a Elgato switcher or something like that.
I don't
and
want to deal with that.
you know, actually, like that. Okay, now that sounds fun, right? I love the technology side of
No,
things.
you would like.
I would love to
want
have an excuse to build a streaming setup. That's super cool. But
build it for someone else.
we're not talking about actually like sharing the experience at the table. I think the Instagram stories are a better version of what it was like to sit there and play the game. And while we maybe don't show the game very much, that's because, you know, that's only half of it, right? And it's hard to show that when you're live streaming a board game. And I think that's why we end up live streaming video games more, is because there isn't a physical thing to share. You can see what I see. It's like you're sitting in my spot, you know, and then all we're doing is throwing in our audio that is already there. The banter that we're already having, whether it's me and you, or me, you and Ken, or Ryan when we're playing Gloomhaven or whatever, that's already happening, and all we're doing is hitting publish to the wide world. Yeah. We're not having to artificially create an experience of, let me film my table in some way that doesn't already exist, and somehow mic everybody up in a way that they can be heard well, and all this kind of stuff. So I think that's what makes video games easier, is literally, it's just hitting the play button. It's honestly, and when we'll talk about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands here in a little bit. When we put up our Tiny Tina's videos, what I had to do to make that is we're on Discord, me and Emily, and we say we were ready to record.
Well, and we're on Discord whether or not we're recording because
Exactly.
our computers are not next to each other and we're playing separately but in the same game. So either way it's happening. It's just been saying, just so you know, I hit a record button. So.
And we're back. Every time.
That was fun.
Those files are big, though. They're like 30 gigs. It takes forever to upload them to YouTube.
And I mean, like, sometimes our videos, like, it is just us playing. It's nothing special. And sometimes it is, like, we're goofing around more that night, and so it's more fun. But it is just, that's how we're going to play either way. And I enjoy that, like, spontaneous everyday lifestyle of just, like, this is just us playing a board game or us playing a video game. As soon as it gets into I have to, like, make a fake-ish video. Which I'm not, there's
at all.
Nothing against other people who want to make those videos or anything like that. That's not what I want to do. Not fun to me.
Exactly. We're recording a podcast right now, and I think that's fun, but it's not while I'm trying to play a game. And the thing is like, I love to keep the game playing, and that's it. I never want that to be work. It's my favorite hobby, and I want to keep it that way.
Well, too bad.
Too fucking
That's all I have for. I do have some more questions, but I wanted to save them for when Ken's around.
Kenny boy.
Kenny, baby.
Big Ken. K-Dog.
Big
Special K.
Okay.
All right. Last thing on today's podcast, like I just mentioned, we have been playing a ton of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands because that's what we could fit in, and also because it's kind of fun.
It was if Ben had any time off. By time off, I mean like an hour before he had to go back to bed at a weird time. That was easy to be like, let's just play an hour of this quick. So we did make some of those videos.
Yeah, if you want to go check out the Date Night Dice YouTube, there's a playlist up there for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And doesn't start at the beginning of the game, and we're certainly not at the end. And there's definitely some holes, I think, in there where we didn't record. But you generally get an idea of our playthrough of the game.
If you're curious about the game or just want to have it on in the background while you're doing something else, go for it. We have Tiny Tina's, and you have Elden Ring, we have Gloomhaven, we have the podcast, we have the D-List, and we have a couple of random videos that we have made of us playing games, but most of the time it's kind of just like clips that we've had in the past and then put together. But you can go check it out, subscribe, all that stuff, all that, YouTube. So I don't know. Don't you click a bell and hit a gong and stuff?
Yeah, gong, bell.
Hit a button and you do two
It's red,
clicks.
it's white, nobody knows.
So
I would say the Elden Ring stuff it's fine. It's not that it doesn't have any voiceover or anything. I was really just putting up videos of gameplay that I was sharing with my friends to be like, look, this is what I'm doing in the game.
Yeah, I'm going to say right now that our stuff is not like, I made this for content. It's honestly like, you're like, hey, Ken, did you see that video I posted? It's like a private thing that we just made public.
Well, and they're not edited at all, right? So it's more like a live stream. Like when we played for 2 hours, it's a 2-hour video.
Yeah, I just want to mean, like, I'm not like, people would love this. This is honestly kind of almost if it was like a private account for us, but then we just made it
much
public.
like our Instagram.
Yes, exactly. Just telling everyone right now. But Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, what do you think?
The newest in the Borderlands series. This is a sort of standalone game. It's
almost
not
like a
Borderlands
side mission
4.
they made into a big game.
Yeah, I mean, we've been Borderlands fans for a long time, which is funny to say that because I really kind of dislike the Borderlands jokes and story and presentation and mission style and whatever, but it's one of those things that we've always been able to do together gameplay wise. The looter shooter, the Diablo in first person shooter form.
It's an easy game we can both play in, so yeah, why not?
It's a big game we can both play. There's not very many AAA games that you can play co-op together like that.
That's true.
And we're not going to get online and go play Call of Duty or something. There aren't that many like big co-op play together games, and so Borderlands has always fit that niche for us.
Yeah,
it's
like
goofy
this
enough.
story doesn't make sense, but
No, whatever.
That's fine.
But it like there's a little bit of difficulty there. It's kind of hard. You're always improving, and I don't know. I've always looked forward to playing the next Borderlands. And if somebody was like, "Our Borderlands game's good," I'd be like, "I don't know, maybe." Not, but
Yeah.
we have fun with them.
They're not
And this is the
bad.
newest one. So let's compare Tiny Tina's Wonderlands as a Borderlands game. How is it? Do you like it?
I like it, but I do find it's like easier. I don't know if easier is the right word. It's easier though than the other Borderlands games.
Which is funny because at the start of the game it says, "Do you want to play normal difficulty or one level up?"
We played one level up.
We played
right?
on hard, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't find it hard.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not yet. The like bosses or whatever aren't hard, but it just seems like everything's a little more mellow, and I don't want to say childlike, but like the theme kind of is. So I don't know if they were just trying to go with the theme of it's like Tina and her friends playing like D&D. And so I don't know if it's just supposed to be the theme wise, but it definitely seems a little more like mellowed out in a way. But overall, it's the same. You're trying to find your guns and doing the stupid side missions. The side missions in this are way more like inside jokes. But I don't know. What do you think?
I like it. I'll say that up front.
Yeah,
I'm having a lot of fun playing
I like it. I mean, I'm just saying if you were trying to compare them, I would say it's not like the next Borderlands a step up kind of thing. It's just kind of like another version of that.
I think the run and gun is never enough in those games. Like,
yeah,
I have a gun and I shoot, and so it gets more fun once you've leveled up quite a bit, and you're like, oh, my character's really good at doing this.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, this shield and this gun work really well with that, and now look, I wreck people. And that's when it gets fun, is like when you start to once you've leveled up a little bit and you start to have like a thing that's your thing.
I feel like we have leveled up quite a bit, and I'm still like, I don't know, it'd be great if I could like get my thing.
Oh, well, I was saying that I do have that now, and I'm finding
like
it quite fun.
Yet.
Ah.
I mean, my person's better, but I feel like I still have like a weapon that, and like, could I get a decent one or?
I like the spells instead of grenades. I think that gives them way more freedom to have fun than, in the past, it always had to be like, it had to at least somewhat make sense that it was a grenade. And now that the grenade slot is switched off with spells, sky's the limit. It can shoot
like
this. It can put a buff on you. It can blast a meteor from the sky. It can have an ice spike shoot up from the ground.
Yeah.
I have one right now that's just like a flamethrower.
That's your spell?
My spell
right
now
that was
is
a gun I gave you. No, that was a spell I gave you.
Yeah, you gave me. It's just I am a flamethrower. So
yeah, I have the meteor.
That's cool. I found that there's a lot of like more fun with the way that the shields and stuff work. But there's definitely less guns. Like, and the guns are kind of weird because like there's pistols that are crossbows with this fantasy theme, and
it's like at first it's like a Renaissance knight theme.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to the level cap of 40 and then starting some of the end game stuff where you can start to really crank up the difficulty, and sort of the loot pools change, and you can run through these like gauntlets on harder and harder modes until you're like, wow, okay, now we're right on the edge of this is a little. These games have always been that way. They're only fun when you find the stuff that's hard. Yeah. In the first Borderlands, it was Moxie's tournament thing. Arena. Yep. In the second Borderlands, it was, I don't even remember. There was a bunch of arenas that were fun.
You never run out of ammo in this one.
No, never. I run out of rocket launcher ammo all the time.
Well, I don't know what's going on there. But in this one,
you get like 5.
You never run out of ammo, and it's stuff like that where I want to be like, I almost wish you did, or your health was a little bit trickier, or it just seems like sometimes it's a little too easy in this one.
I do like that it being a fantasy theme almost like opens up more options, like the blood gun and all this. Like There's this like weird
Blood.
stuff.
You had that, didn't you? Didn't just spray blood on people?
It sprayed red stuff. It wasn't blood. I don't know. We called it the
I
blood
think
gun.
it's blood.
It was like red magic or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The story in this one is really bad. Like
It's extra goofy. So it's them doing D&D, but all the little side missions and this and that are definitely so slow.
so dumb.
In Borderlands in the past, though, let's say you come up to whatever person, Phil, and you talk to him about side mission. You can hit talk and like run away and he still talks. In this one, you have to honestly stand there and stare at him for 2 minutes while they talk to you. And if you move away, it's like they like stop and you have to go back and they're like, okay, follow me. And they watch. It seems like everything's, that's what I mean. It's like a little more mild in every way. Like slower, talking a little bit longer, guns are a little bit, like everything's just a little more mild in this one.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to keep playing it. Like it doesn't,
Right.
that didn't stop that, but.
I'm not going to not play it, and I'm not having fun. I'm having lots of fun.
Not having fun.
It certainly makes me look forward to like a Borderlands 4 would be nice.
Yeah.
You know, and this bridges the gap to that nicely, better than the pre-sequel did. But even the pre-sequel, it was still fun to play, but there was some annoying mechanics in the pre-sequel about like oxygen meters whenever you'd go out of the buildings, and gosh, like remember the low gravity and like jumping across big wide open spaces. The nice thing they've done in this one is that there aren't big wide open spaces. You instance into levels, and some of the levels are super tiny. Some of the levels are like big areas, big levels, but it's always like a level, and then you pop back out of it, and you're back to the board game setup, and you go and instance into another level.
You definitely don't have to drive really bad cars from place to place.
Right, exactly.
I hate driving cars, aka I can't. Like, I physically can't drive cars.
But this game, it does seem to be smaller. It does seem to be more focused. I think some people would like that. For me, I liked how Borderlands 3 never seemed like it was ever going to end. Yeah. Because this is like one of the other fun things we do together. We don't go play another video game after this, right? So I like that. I mean,
we have a couple others, but this is like the big game that we play. So
would I recommend this game? Maybe. I don't know. Go check out those videos, see what you like. They're certainly detailed. There's a lot of us playing Tiny Tina's up on YouTube. So
check those out if you're interested. But do you have a Would You Rather?
I do have a Would You Rather for tonight.
Okay, well, you go first.
Well, I was trying to decide if I want to go like an actual one or like a joke one. And then the one joke one I wanted to do would kind of be funny if Ken was here, so I might wait on that. So
wait for that one.
All right. Would you rather? This one's not like a bad or bad. Those ones are kind of fun too.
It's not like eat vomit or.
Would you rather have a rewind button or on life or a pause button? Rewind and a do-over or a pause and let me think?
Can I rewind on my rewind? Like, could I keep doing it? Or is it a one-time rewind?
Let's say you can't rewind again until you have
past that point.
You don't get infinite retries. Maybe you get one retry. I feel
like I could
of any scenario.
I could sit there being like, well, that was
sure. You can have infinite. I guess there's no constraints on here. It's just rewind or pause. Rewind.
Because even if I wanted to pause, like the perfect moment, I could just rewind and kind of do that perfect moment again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think me pausing, like, what am I going to do? Look around for a while?
The only stuff you can do with a pause button is, like, move people around, so that they accidentally, like, pour their drink on their face.
Kind of crap? Oh, man. Like comedy? I could
Yeah, like click.
Yeah, but rewind is when you see some, like, asshole at a whatever. You could literally go up and slap him in the face and get that feeling and then be like, rewind, and then go back to him.
Oh, I never thought about it that way.
And you could be like, it's fine. And you would know you have the pleasure of doing that already.
I guess you have no consequences. You could always try out things that seem risky.
Oh, you could get wild. Yeah.
But you have to be careful with how far you rewind. Right.
Well, is it like a 30-second rewind? Like, you have to have a time. You can't be like, I'm going back 2 years, start me over. That's insane.
Maybe you do, and then you're like, well, shouldn't have done that because
then you switched
Scott
up
didn't
shit.
have my kid. Yeah, what was that time travel movie?
That's such a good movie.
Where he like travels back in time and then comes back and his kid's a different kid.
What is that movie?
Anyway, I think I agree with you, though. The pause doesn't seem to have a lot of utility. Like, why am I pausing? What am I doing during the pause? Just taking a breather? I'm never so overwhelmed that I'm like, if I could just pause right now.
It's called About Time. That movie is fan-effing-tastic.
It's a good movie.
That's good. I think it depends though on how far back I can go. I kind of like the thing of like you can go back 30 seconds. So you quickly just have this, or a minute, this thing of like, well, I just spilled coffee on this important person, and you're like, let's go back, start over.
Well, like I said, I just don't see the utility of the pause button. Like, what's it for?
I don't know. Like,
unless I just really need some sleep.
You could.
I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna unpause after this nap.
Oh my God, you could do that and just like you could sleep for like 12 hours and come
I
back
do need
and
more
get
time
so much
every day.
Stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I never thought of that. Am I aging during the pause? Because then that's
I would say that you are, like, your
God,
body is not
work.
paused.
Well,
How much pausing are you doing?
Like, you could, if you paused and slept for 8 hours, and then you
Every
were
day.
like, yeah, then all of a sudden you're awake. That's what I'm saying.
Well, if you're awake that much, you would have time to,
No, this isn't. You're still aging.
like, do all the anti-aging stuff that one guy on the Huberman podcast does.
Are you kidding me right now, Ben?
Huber heads unite. All right, what's your would you rather, Em?
Okay, mine's pretty easy. Well, not easy, it's simple. Would you rather wear wet socks for a week?
Uh-huh.
I'm also going to say it's winter.
No. Why? Why does it have to be winter?
Because I just said that.
But I'm always cold.
Wear wet socks for a week or have a pill stuck in your throat for a week.
Ooh. Oh.
Now, it's not like winter, like your feet are freezing cold, but it's definitely...
Am I getting chilblains?
No. Now, that is a serious condition, Ben. But your feet are very uncomfortable. You know,
I have wet socks for a week.
Wet socks or a pill stuck in your throat.
Pill stuck in my throat. What happens when I eat? When I'm done eating, it's still
got that
there?
feeling.
I don't like this one at all.
First of all, I hate wet socks. That is the worst.
I guess I'll take wet socks. I don't want to be like, that swallowing all day, all long. I wouldn't be able to fall asleep.
You're like struggling right now.
I'm thinking about that pill being stuck in my throat. Freaking out.
Boy, I hate wet socks, though.
I don't mind wet sock.
You
whatever.
don't mind wet socks?
That's why I keep the bottoms of my sock. They
just
have no sock. It dries faster.
I had your socks on the other day.
They're
By
just
the way,
chaps.
I need new socks now. I'm the person, but I had your socks on, and I looked down.
Just chaps for
and
my feet.
toe was just sticking out, and I was like, what the F right now?
A lot of those socks are pretty new, and they're just worn all the way through. That happens real quick with my socks. That laugh you just did, your nostrils were like quivering.
Because I'm laughing at how stupid your sock issue is. It was the cheapy socks, though. Wasn't the good ones.
That's true. They were like Hanes, Target Hanes.
It was like a 400 pack of Target Hanes.
No, those are really cheap. I only no.
So you have a 400
I do have a 400 pack of Target Hanes. I only take those on long business trips where I don't want to do laundry, and I just bring 20 pairs of socks.
Do you just throw them away?
No, I bring them all home dirty, and then I wash them.
I thought you were it was like a wear and throw set.
No. I just wear them once each, and then I bring them home and wash them, and then they're in a Meyer bag in the closet.
That seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, it's really really inefficient. It's stupid. Because typically I could just have them the hotel do laundry, but I'm normally in a foreign country or something. I'm not gonna ask somebody to do anything. So who knows the consequences of something like that?
Do you want to tell the
I'd
story
probably get kidnapped
of the first time you went to the Netherlands? Really quick?
No, nobody wants to hear about that.
I thought they do.
What part of the story? So the fact, I can drive a stick, but I was very nervous about going to another country. I fly into Amsterdam and then have to drive about 2 hours south to Terneuzen,
right
which
then
is
and there, I would have said, I got to get a flight back. Like, if someone told me I had to drive in a foreign country for 2 hours, I'd go, this is a no-go. This is not going to work.
But it's mainly just highways until you get there.
Oh,
wait,
okay.
no, I was going to Breda or
Yeah. It was Breda.
yeah, because
think.
the place I was going
I
was
don't
in
know if that's what it
Ettenler,
was
is the name of
called,
the town.
though. But it was something like that.
I was like, I'll drive a stick, whatever, sure. I know how to drive a stick, and it just was like, I don't have a manual transmission car, you know. But I was like, I could.
Why would you say yes to that?
Because I couldn't do it, like whatever, and and I did, but it was all kinds of problems. I didn't know where to park. One time I tried to turn down a road. It was a bus only, so it had these like pillars that came up if you weren't a bus.
Oh my God.
So I had to land a drive on a sidewalk in like a shopping area. You know, I parked in places and got tickets, like that kind of stuff.
You were like wild for.
Yeah, it was crazy. But like, I do remember that the hotel, I couldn't figure out how to get the heat to turn on. And this was in December.
Winter, yeah.
You know, it's not like it was super cold, but it was like, you know, it was around 0 C there. So
What's 0 C?
like 32.
Is that 32? Okay. I in my head was thinking 30s, but I don't know the flippity floppity of.
It's 5 nines times Fahrenheit.
See,
plus
that's
32.
what I don't.
Or times.
Don't. No. I never remember exactly how you flip flop it, so sorry.
But yeah, I was so cold for a whole week, and I didn't know what to do. It was like.
Do you think that when you
like
left, they went in to clean it, and they were going, "Whoa, it's cold in here."
It was like 40 degrees in there.
Sorry.
It was like outside in there, and I was so.
Do you think they
cold.
came in though, and they were like, "Boy, why did this guy have it so cold in here?" And they just went to the wall and were like, and like turned it on.
I was just so.
Like they were just like, super
such
simple.
An idiot.
You could just went down there and been like, my room's like freezing.
I don't know.
They probably would have helped you.
That's enough of this before Emily starts asking more questions about terrible things I've done, which there is certainly a lot of things I can talk about that make me sound like the idiot that I am. So
running a chemical plant can't turn on his heat.
Emily, you said you were going to record end of show bumpers. Are you going to do that for
shit.
this episode?
Sure.
Are you really?
No.
I highly doubt it. So until next time, I'm Ben, and this is Em, and we're the Date Night Dice podcast. Go check us out on YouTube at Date Night Dice. Go check us out on Instagram at Date Night Dice, and watch us on Twitch sometimes. Maybe we'll be back on Twitch at Date Night Dice. We are proud members of both the Board Avengers media group. I don't know what the heck the Board Avengers even is, but we do YouTube. We got a YouTube channel. We do YouTube videos. There are Date Night Dice videos up there on the Board Avengers YouTube channel, as long as some other great videos from great content creators. And we're also a part of the Gateway Network, Gateway Gaming Network.
I wouldn't worry about that.
I wouldn't worry about that either. But we're part of something that we cross promote each other. Actually,
nobody knows.
We're all doing our best here. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week. We'll be doing a D-list of the movie 2012. Should be a ton of fun.
Ken will be here too.
Ken will be back. So, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Excellent. Okay, go ahead.